Okay, here we go. Everybody's got a story, don't they? Especially us older folk about a car that they maybe once had and they regret having sold, or a particular, um, again, vintage car that they're maybe in one of even. Well, here's one, and mine was a 1951 Buick Super, and this is kind of a plea. I'd like to find her. I know she's out in the nation somewhere, and in about 1988, I sold this car, and I worked at the time at a Buick dealership. And here's the story and what went on behind this particular example. We had a lot of old buildings, and this is the flagship dealer, the oldest Buick dealership in the nation. And we all got a notice in our pay envelope saying that they were tearing down these old parts sheds, and there were so many things. Just what I thought at the time was treasure, uh, unopened boxes of old Buick polishes and umbrellas and creepers and Buick memorabilia. I remember there were some Glenn Ford signs whom got tucked way back in the parts sheds where all the old manuals were. And anyway, all that stuff had to go. Buick wanted to shed its "This Isn't Your Dad's Car" image. Glenn Ford was the actor. Anybody wants to find out what he did, look at Midway. That was one of the better movies he did. The actor. So anyway, here it is. And there was a gentleman that worked there for 62 years. Yeah, you heard me right. 62 years. And had all these cars. I believe there were three of them. And he kept coming up and asking me, "Hey, I got to get this car going out of here. Nobody will help me. Will you help me?" And I kind of brushed him off. And anyway, one day I got caught up. All right, all right, what do you got? Went back and we tore all this drywall off, kind of like Doc Emmett Brown and Back to the Future again, and uncovered this 1951 Buick Super with a Fireball straight eight with about 34,000 miles on it. Near as he could figure, it had sat back there for almost 26 years. No particular reason why. He just always liked the color, and it kind of grew on him. So you know where it's going. One thing led to another. The tires were just, there was nothing left of them. You think back, and gee, what seems, eons ago is in the mind just as though it were moments ago when you remember this sort of thing. Anyway, yeah, again, nothing new, and everyone with their story. And you go to a car show or something, sometimes you get into these types of stories. So yeah, I poured a little fuel down the carburetor, this big long cigarette battery. So intrigued, just couldn't believe this car and how beautiful. Look at the door panels and all the mouse hair on the backs of the seats. And my boys at the time were little, and here's one sitting here when we were polishing it. When I took it for a ride and brought it home and got it running, I told the guy, "Well, let me have a little fun here, and let me get this running right for you." And yeah, it went deeper and deeper, and I fell in head over heels love. And the rest of the story is, look, I mean, no one at the time had much interest in the car. It was to me a diamond in the rough, and I picked it up. It was the reasons were far more to than not, and it didn't need anything. I mean, you just wash it off. I couldn't believe it. It had a 3-speed on the column and a big hollow tube with a propeller shaft drove the rear end. And I remember I pulled all that out and pulled the rear end back and put a clutch disc and a pressure plate in it because it slipped a little bit. But after that, that was all. And again, what intrigued me so much were the doors and there wasn't even a follicle of rust. All the stampings on the firewall and the various power districts, though primitive at the time, still had their stampings and the old ironing cloth wire all there and everything intact. And just a going back in time example car, that I wished I'd had today. And yeah, here's the medicine kit you got with the car, and uh, the Buick, see the Buick sticker? There's the window sticker, and those hung during these years in the on the mirror. So there's its sticker, and I still have that sticker. And I just thought, well, I'm going to have that for a keepsake. Where to hide your key, starting instructions, look at all the labels on the doors. The clock had a little point in it that I burst and cleaned, and I remember I had a blast taking the movement out of that timepiece and bathing it in some good light clock oil watchmakers use. And yeah, got that solenoid working, and to watch it energize and click and yeah, I mean, it's a fond memory. And then look at the old poles for the vents just to the left of the clock, that lower knob, for example. You pull that out and it would jet air in. Oh my God, it would blow air like a flurry of activity of, air in that cabin. And then above there is a cigarette lighter, and then there were heaters under the seats and one in the dash, and you'll see more knobs. And then in the center was a great big radio. We'll probably come across a picture of that, with a big chrome front and an all steel dashboard, way below the era of seat belts. Anyway, a blast to drive. And during my wedding procession, my wife and I tied a bunch of cans on this car and drove about the town. Remember when people used to do that? Can you imagine that today? Shh, you kidding me? Oh my God. I haven't seen that in years. They're too busy, these kids, going to Walmart and eating dishwasher pods. Oh, boy. Anyway, story for another time. But yeah, and the intrigue and the chrome on this car was just amazing. And there was a little bit of pitting in that chrome. And I remember I pulled all these upper and lower stages off and sent all that chrome out to have it replated. And each one of those compound angles, I can remember, were stationed in a different spot. In other words, you had to keep them in the exact order because the geometry was different on each and every one of those. And yeah, that was my big mistake. But I figured it all out. Anyway, here's that Fireball straight 8. Didn't use any oil, and it would idle down to about 82, 85 RPM with a nice big steering wheel. And they had this gentleman's name was Chum. He had the steering... the seats all wrapped in plastic when he bought the car. And we had all these license plates in the back, and there were just bushel baskets of them, and I grabbed them, and I still got those plates and displayed them in my on a wall. And yeah, here's a side profile picture of the car. And anyway, I life got busy. Kids came, obligations. Where do I put it? Didn't have any place to put it. So I would later sell it. And don't you, the old cliche, you wonder, where did you go? What happened? And here's that plea, trying to find out where the car went. So if anyone out there in Buick land knows of the car or has seen the car, I'd just love to know where it ended up. And yeah, I'd love it back, truth be told. But yeah, isn't that what life is? That want is there, but all right, then after you fulfill the want, now what am I going to do with it? So my wife is too disinterested to give a shit. So it's just a guy thing. Look at the old cigarette lighter in the back with the ropes and all the mouse hair. You could put that seat up and live back there, literally. And everybody says that, but look at it. This time it's really true. Look at the doors and the door jambs. Oh my God! And here's some examples of that wiring. And if you look real carefully, just amazing how simple things were back in this era, and where the car sat for all those years and years. There was a little hole in the ceiling, so think of it like an icicle or a stalactite in a cave. Yeah, I had to get some paint and fix that little spot there. Okay, well, we're back to the cool parts. Look at that radio with a nice big fat 8-inch, I think it was, could be a 6-inch speaker in there, and the old vacuum control where you put the key to turn the ignition on, and then push a button to draft the water out off the combination vacuum fuel pump, a dual tandem diaphragm type of a cam-driven pump out on the engine. I've got another video about a cigarette ad where you piped into those vacuum reservoirs to draft the fumes off your cigarettes and evacuate the ashtray. And another pull handle for that big vent I prefaced on the right side. Look there's one in the middle, or on the bottom, I guess I should say, on the left. And look at the radio. Oh my God, it worked beautiful. You had to wait about 30 seconds for it to come on, and on the ceiling there was a directional antenna that you could extend about 4 feet. And I know again a nice big steering wheel. Did you see the Kleenex dispenser behind that trash bag, and the beautiful Buick emblem medallion on the wheel amid all again the pretty chrome. And yeah, the old Mercury switch for the trunk light and all the original juke padding and the fender welts and you remember. So I often think and wonder, where did you go, my big toothed monster, in all your beauty and grace and I've got my little footprint all over inside because I knew one day I'd let it go and I'd be nice to see it again and know where it ended up, and I just would like to think in that reality it went to a nice home. I didn't convert it. I left it 6 volt, and I didn't, again like many people, convert it over to 12 volt. Here's another picture again of that upper package shelf. So yeah, you think and you wonder and you reminisce and gee, you just don't find history in the making like this in cars. Look at the old Kleenex dispenser, a spare, and an old Buick radiator hose that was back there with the medallion still on it as a spare. And when I got it all polished up, yeah, I took it over to my pop's house and we went for a ride. And well, hell, my dad was born in '33. And well, these are the new cars. We drove Oaklands, Hudsons, and Stutzes, son. I mean, this is nothing to rave about. But I'm glad you have interest in it. And yeah, there would be some of those license plates. So where did you go? If anyone knows, key in, leave me a comment. And there's my car story. Okay, thanks for watching.